Hey, welcome to Tech Talk Unfiltered. This is Eric.
Hi, and this is Vada.
And we haven't talked in a while, right? We haven't talked in a while. This is
No,
a
I've
tech.
had a family reunion, and then I also got sick. So yeah, it's good that we're back. Good to see you again,
Yeah,
Eric.
yeah, good to see you as well. It's been, like I said, it's been a while. Even though we're constantly working, we don't actually get to see each other all the time.
No, we don't.
Uh, so let's before we get into this, we have a lot to talk about. We have a lot of things we're going to talk about today. But what makes things possible for us at New Vista Community Services to provide 200 plus classes a year for free to everybody, weekly tech tips, podcasts, everything else. We can't do it. We couldn't do it without our grantors. And so we should thank our grantors right off the bat: Dignity Health, Sequoia Healthcare District, Peninsula Healthcare District, El Camino Healthcare District, sorry, Silicon Valley Community Foundation, Los Altos Mountain View Community Foundation, Forum Charitable Fund, Rotary of Los Altos, Health Trust, Touchpoint, Comcast, Kiwanis Club of Los Altos, amongst our individual donors as well.
But we also have our facility partners where they actually allow us to host classes in person, and in many cases they pay us to do so. So it's a great partnership. So we have Escaton here in Sacramento, Escaton Village, Carmichael, the V at Palo Alto, the city of Milpitas, the Veterans Memorial Senior Center there in Redwood City, the Peninsula Family Service, the Truesdale, the city of Burlingame, Avenidas Village, the city of Los Altos, and the India Community Center.
Yes, we couldn't keep our overhead low if we didn't do our classes at these facilities with our partners.
Not at all.
All right, so it's been a couple of weeks. A lot of things have happened. We were just talking about this before, but there's been a lot of things that have been happening. We had a government shutdown. We have a government almost not shut down. Uh, we have a lot of, we had an election,
Yep.
which was interesting. I want to kind of, you and I were just talking about this about, news sources and stuff, and I think it'd be interesting. It's like we do a reliable news source class. And to me, I feel like, and I think you feel the same, every news agency almost is an opinion.
Very much so.
And it's really hard to figure out, what's going on. We talk about our reliable news source class about doing horizontal research.
Hmm.
So if one place says one thing, another place says another thing, or doesn't cover it, let's go ahead and search across different sources and find out what kind of the truth is. But it's hard.
Well,
It's
it is hard, and I unfortunately I think culturally we've become kind of lazy. Instead of looking at things and understanding that they're very complex things that we can never truly solve. I mean, every solution is going to have a trade-off, right? And a lot of those trade-offs and things have to be navigated by experience and opinion, and we got to dialogue and go back and forth on it. Like you and I were talking about before we started the podcast. I was in a meeting with a group of men that were very conservative, and uh, most of them were very, I'd kind of say righteous about, how they thought things should go or how elections should be. And my feeling was like, look, guys, yeah, we might be conservative or right of center, but the only thing we know is that we're wrong because we don't know everything. It's impossible to. And the only way for us to really serve the greatest number of people is to have really good, respectful arguments from opposing positions, from opposing perspectives. And
well,
unfortunately, we don't think that way
yeah,
as a
well, you and I
culture.
were very fortunate because we kind of grew up at Intel,
Oh, very much
and
so.
one of the core values was constructive confrontation, which
Yes.
sometimes went a little too far.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
mean, like, remember the quarterly reviews? I mean, whenever I did a quarterly, my very first one, I was really upset, right? I mean, it's like, man, I got torn apart. But it was really great how my manager pulled me aside and said, "Hey, did you learn anything?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, this and this." And he's like, "Then it was successful." You know,
Yeah.
get your ego out
And
of the way.
diversity, whether you like and I'm not talking about DEI. I'm really not talking about that. I'm talking about diversity of opinions.
Absolutely.
Diversity of opinions, which is sometimes shaped by well, I shouldn't say sometimes. It's always shaped by how we were raised, how we were brought up. Very
Hmm.
much different from a Hawaiian family, like you're from, or a Chinese American family where I'm from, or an Indian family, or an African American family, or whoever. Our how we were raised influences our opinions and our outlook. But when I talk about diversity of opinion, that's how we can get to greater solutions. I mean,
Yeah,
and this was
agreed.
part, yeah, this was part of our problem when when we first kind of got put together with ANVCS.com. We had 5 or 6 or 7 of us, and everybody wanted to force their opinion, but we're like, no, we're just playing devil's advocate. We're trying to test your solutions
Right.
and see if something better comes up. But we
Right.
don't have
Let's
that
poke
dialogue.
at them, and it's not about attacking, but people's egos got activated. It was weird.
Yeah, it was very weird. But back to it is like to what we're listening to and what we see and everything else. We don't see enough of that uh, honest conversation about
Hmm.
without getting insulted. I mean, you see like the five, and you got on Fox News, and you got Jessica Tarlov, who's the token liberal in a lot of ways, but they kind of dismiss. They don't have real dialogue. Everybody just kind of states their opinion or fact, and they don't
And
go
they're very
further with it.
flippant about it.
Well, yeah, they're dismissive, and it's like,
Right.
oh yeah, well you're just spouting this, right? It's the discussion, the constructive confrontation is really about trying to understand where the other person's coming from and trying to
Agreed.
come up with different solutions or better solutions. Because I had an old boss who used to say that it's like, hey, without confrontation, without diversity of opinion, we're not going to get any further.
Right. Because then all we do is repeat the same mistakes, the same patterns.
Yeah. And so, and like I said, going back to our reliable news sources, just why we should read a lot of different things or watch a lot of different things. The
I don't
problem
know if
is,
you're familiar with
go
the
ahead.
ground news. I mean,
Mm.
that's one of my favorite subscriptions now. So they will come up and they will show a headline, and then they will show several sources that, are discussing or reporting on this headline, and they will show whether they're left, right, center, and it shows how they're funded. Are they privately owned? Are they publicly owned? Are they, whatever. It's really neat that they have this. And then they go and they monitor me as a reader and say, look, this is how many things you looked at the left, this is how many things you looked on the right. And so you're
What's the name
coming
of this
up.
thing called?
It's called ground news.
Ground news.
And I really enjoy that because then, based on what I've been reading, they say, here's some potential blind spots for you. And I'm like, oh my God, this is genius. It's a really neat way of
Hmm.
using algorithms to inform me in a way that gets past my biases.
Interesting. I'll have to check that out. I actually use something called Smart News,
Hmm.
which is just a whole litany of different sources on topics that I'm interested in.
Nice.
So I might get 4 or 5 different articles on the same thing, but with written by different people. It might be, a liberal free press or liberal press, or it might be from a conservative, standpoint. But at least I can read different opinions on the same subject
Right. And
of
I
things
like
that I'm
that.
interested in. Yeah, I mean, it's how we get smarter. Um, anyways, so let's switch subjects. We had like I said, we had a government shutdown. I
We're
think
still
we're out
shut
of it.
down, but
We're still shut
we got
down.
past the Senate.
We got past the Senate. Um, do you have an opinion on any of that? I mean,
I hate any posturing that causes a shutdown. I agree we need to have dialogue, but you know, win an election. I mean, when the Republicans were shutting down, or holding things hostage when they weren't in charge, right? I totally disagree with that. And now that the shoe's on the other foot, I disagree with that too. It doesn't make any sense to me to wreak such havoc over um, ideals when you're not the one in control. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, my thing is if you're going to shut it down, you better stick it out all the way.
Right. I mean, here we have shut down for what, over 40 days now, and we're basically back to where we started. Give me
Yeah.
a break.
I have it's funny because it's kind of like I had a neighbor and we got into a dispute and we suggested a solution and we went to mediation, spent like $35,000 each, and we came back to the same solution.
Oh man.
That's kind of how it feels like. It's, you know what?
It
That's kind of what
does. There's
this
all
all
this
feels like.
pain inflicted and losses
Yes.
incurred.
Yes. And it's like, and I don't know if it's Epstein files. I don't know if it's, Grijalva who's got elected. What really upsets me is that, these are our dollars. These are we're paying our representatives. They've been off for 7 weeks. The House of Representatives been off for seven
Right.
weeks. It's like, well, that's kind of ridiculous.
Right. You
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 know,
you go and take time off when you haven't passed a budget? Give me a break.
yeah. It's like Congress's one job is to pass the budget,
Right.
a budget. And I will tell you though, I don't know how you get your health insurance.
Mhm.
I was looking at Covered California because I was looking before and after. And I personally, and one of the things about awareness, right? These things cause awareness. And so I started looking at, how much, if I went to Covered California, for example, I got Obamacare, how much my insurance would have cost. And it would have cost like $3,000, but $2,200 of it was paid for by the subsidies that they
Wow.
were talking about. I went back today and looked at it, and that same plan would cost me $3,500.
Why?
So instead of paying 1,000, because the subsidies are gone,
Oh, the
that's what the
subsidies
Democrats,
disappeared.
that's
Right.
what the Democrats were fighting for.
Right.
And so, thankfully, at this point in time, I don't need, Obamacare or Covered California. But I get it. A lot of people are not going to be able to afford that. I don't know if I could afford $3,000 or $4,000 a month for healthcare.
Right. And my big thing is that we're
Mhm.
not paying for health care, we're paying for health insurance. And
Yeah,
until we
yeah,
make the
exactly right.
distinction between
Exactly
the
right.
two, we're going to get screwed because right
Yes.
now the only people making or are swiping the cream off the top are the insurance companies. I know a lot of people in healthcare,
Yeah.
and the doctors and the hospitals are not making it the way they used to. And
No.
we're not attracting the best and brightest to healthcare anymore because of that.
Well,
It's really
there's
tipping me
too many
off.
middlemen. So if you listen to like Mark Cuban talk about his pharmaceutical company,
I have.
he talks about all the different pieces that are in between
Right.
that just keep driving up the prices. It's not necessarily just big pharma. It's the pharmacists in between or the pharmacy pricing people in between.
And the
I don't remember what he called it.
compounders and all these people.
Yes.
Right.
And so it's, I do agree. I mean, right. There's a couple things I kind of agree on. You can't just swipe the rug out from underneath people without trying to fix it. And I get that. I don't think that we should be paying 4 grand a month for a family of four for health insurance.
Right. When most of them are young, I mean, give me a
Yeah.
break.
And but that goes beyond subsidies and it goes beyond, this is what we're talking about. They need to get together, bang their heads together and figure out a way to fix the whole health insurance in the United
Well, we
States
have
kind
to
of
agree
process.
first that it's about providing health care to citizens. It's not about prioritizing, this balance of power between insurance companies and hospitals. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I personally can't wait to get to Medicare, but
Well,
yeah.
mine starts next month, so
Oh, does it really?
yes,
Congratulations.
yeah, it's
That you just made money.
I am making a lot more money, or at least I have more money to spend because of this, right?
Yeah, we get on Medicare and you get a raise
I get
of
a big
disposable
raise.
income.
Yes.
All right. And then the other thing, so again, frustrated with all that, but like I said, and more frustrated the fact that um they shut it down and we're back at the same place.
Yes.
And so and it's only good till January 31st or whatever it is,
Right.
or
So
whatever
are
date
we going to
that
go
is.
through this again? I mean, come on,
Oh, of
folks.
course we are. Of course we are. But maybe people will see their health premiums and say, wow, this is what you were fighting for,
Right.
right? And so maybe I'm kind of encouraged that people are starting to make their voices here heard. It's not just about candidates, it's about issues.
Right.
Right? And people need to speak up, because if we don't speak up, we let the people in power do what they want to do
Right.
and take whatever money they want to take. And I mean, I have a whole bunch of opinions. It's funny because every time I listen to like the pivot with Car Swisher and Scott Galloway, I'm like,
Yeah,
I
we were
should
talking
run.
about
I
that. I
should,
haven't heard that yet. I want to see that
yeah.
version.
But
I like
I'm
Car.
always like, I should go run for office.
It's in the
It
family.
could,
Come on,
it
Eric.
is in the family. But you think about, because they made a really good point. I was listening to it the other day, and they said there's really three things that we want government to at least help with or look like: um, health, housing, and childcare.
Hmm.
As far as like, we in our group talk about ADLs and IADLs and all that stuff. But really, what's more important than your health, your housing, and your children?
Hmm.
It's an interesting thought. I mean, I don't know
Yeah,
if it's, I mean,
it is.
it's
I
very
mean,
simplistic.
I think I go more of I don't know. I don't know where you would put it, but I'm much more about relying on my government to provide law, to
Well, no,
provide.
of course there's law. Of course there's the rule of law. Of course
Right.
there's, don't want people murdering people in the street. But when we talk about outside of like criminal acts and illegal acts, um, what are they there? What are things that we as people need?
Right. And what I like my government to make sure that people aren't over leveraging their power or abusing their power because they know that we need this and they've slipped themselves in between. And that's where I really want my government to prevent things. And quite frankly, I would like to see, you know, like we've talked about, or other people have talked about, like single payer systems and things like that, or Medicare for all. Um, I like that as an ideal, but as a practical thing, you know, government doesn't have measurements of efficacy. They don't do two-tail tests, they don't do null hypothesis, and they don't have any garbage collection for when policies don't work. So it's a very different way of thinking. So we need a balance between what can be provided by the market and how the government can make sure that those markets aren't being doctored. You
So
know,
let me ask you a question. So what if we had, and I don't want to go too far into this, but it just kind of hit me. What if we had Medicare compete as one of the insurance providers?
I I would actually like it to see it Medicare be writ large. My only concern is that once we take away a profit motive, or we take away competition, so to say, um, what's going to drive prices down and service up? I don't
So
know.
here's one of the statistics that I heard. So um, Medicare spends 10% of their budget on administration,
Which is really efficient.
and insurance companies spend like 35 or 40% on administration or something like that.
Correct. They're very top heavy too.
So I mean, so if Medicare came in as a payer or insurance provider to compete against insurance companies, I mean, it's still free trade. It's still
I
capitalism.
well,
What
I
I
like
mean,
that.
and to some degree, you could probably privatize Medicare at some point,
Well,
right?
I like it conceptually. I The biggest thing I see from just a when I look at this from a very top level business viewpoint is insurance companies only provide two pieces of added value. They spread risk and they make payments.
Yep.
Okay. So they ought to be the best, most efficient people at spreading risk and making payments. And we don't get that. Well, that's not what we're getting right now.
Yeah. It's I don't know. It's
And I
it's
think
so
Medicare does a much better job than private insurance. HMOs maybe get a little bit closer, but right now it's just a mess.
it is a mess. I mean, I just wish they would fix the root of the problem,
Correct.
not I mean, I get the subsidies because it's basically again, can't pull the rug out of underneath people's feet. But at the same time, while there were subsidies, I wish people were working on the root cause or
Right.
solving a problem. Because
And
I don't want
this,
our tax dollars being spent without a solution.
me neither. And I want there to be, again, measurements of efficacy. So,
Yeah,
until we have that feedback loop, we can't really, and trust it to just policies and law.
yeah. All right, so I'm going to move on to New York mayoral race, and then we're going to talk actually about our classes at some point. So I thought it was really interesting. You know, we the Virginia, New Jersey governors got voted, and Prop 50 passed.
Hmm.
And I want to talk about that after this because I haven't been able to figure out the right analogy as I've been looking at all this stuff. Um, what was interesting about the Mandani or the mayor election and Mandani won, and then of course there's Chris Cuomo or not Chris Cuomo, uh,
Cuomo, though.
Andrew Cuomo.
Yeah.
Chris Cuomo's the News Nation guy who actually is. I like listening to him as well. But if you look at the breakdown, that it was a large turnout. But what was interesting is Mandani got 78% of the vote between 18 and 29 year olds.
Yep. And they showed up, which is really unusual.
Yet, um, 65 and older went 39 to 33 to Cuomo.
Hmm.
And so, one of the discussions that I heard was about the difference in politicking and the way they ran their campaigns. But is there going to be, or is there going to be true, like two different groups of people, not only just, Republicans and Democrats and independents, but between young people and old people?
Well, the young people have typically not shown up for election day, and it's nice
Right.
to see them show up.
And are they seeing two different things, I guess, right? I mean, there's,
Well,
it's
again,
like,
let's talk about the news sources and what we pay attention to, right?
well, exactly. Well, it was funny because I heard about Madani, right? My son's living in New York, and he's like, well, whatever. But Madonna was going to clubs. He was going to,
Hmm.
corners, and he was going to where the young people were to get their vote. And it's like, I guess, but he is also younger, and because of the fact that you kind of want some more energetic, smart people running for public office. But
Correct.
it's just interesting to see that how he campaigned was to really drive out the young vote, and they showed up. Like I said, they showed up, which is interesting.
Right. And I really like the way he and whoever, went about doing the campaign is, as you pointed out, he went where young people were. He was on podcasts, right? I mean, there were a lot of things that he did that really put his face and his ideals in front of the people that were most amenable to it. I mean, it was really a well-run campaign.
Yeah, I mean, I have no idea what. I mean, I know what he's some snippets, but I really don't know anything about him, which is
Well, the thing is that, and who, I forget who was writing this article, a very famous reporter, but they were talking about how, oh no, it was actually Peter Thiel who was in an interview, and he was talking about how, the younger generation does not feel that capitalism is serving them. They don't have an opportunity to buy a home. They go to college and they're just saddled with debt. So all of these things that are coming about are it's causing people that are under 30 right now or even under 35, can they have a family? They're not even considering that because of affordability.
Well, you can't in the
So,
Bay Area. You can't buy a
but
house in the Bay Area.
if you're in any major city, you can't afford it. So, uh, those things need to be talked about. And Mom Donnie was driving that home. That was, affordability, education, all of these things. Now, does he really have solutions? I don't know, but at least he was talking about it.
Well, being the mayor, you only have a limited number of things you can do.
Right.
You can't raise your
But
state taxes.
mayor of New York City is a very influential
Oh,
position.
absolutely. I mean,
Yeah,
he's still going to need the governor's buy-in for a lot of that stuff.
correct.
So it'll be interesting. I mean, I think they're hitting on a lot of factors, and I want to talk about that with Car when I talk about Car Swisher and Scott Galloway also. But I want to go back to the difference in the demographics, and you and I both did this podcast class,
Right.
right? And so between your version and my version, I added a couple of things, right? And so you showed a lot of things about, you showed a lot about Joe Rogan, right? Joe
Right.
Rogan and Trump,
And
and
his right and his influence,
and
right?
so what I did was I went and I broke down how many people watched that or listened to that, and what the difference is, what was the kind of the gender and age breakdown. So
Correct.
the demographics for that Trump conversation that he had right before the election, 40 million people listened to that interview.
Yes.
And there's no fact checks. There's no, it's funny
No,
because
it's a conversation.
Right, but Scott Galloway calls Joe Rogan his incredularity. He's like always
Incredulity.
incredulous. Oh, really? Wow. That's interesting, right? And it's just he's incredulous to whoever he talks to. But anyways, I'm not gonna bash on Joe, but that's just something what Scott Galloway said. But he said 56% of the 40 million people were between 18 and 34.
Hmm.
37% was between 35 and 54, and 80% of them were male.
Yes.
All right, so let's just take that. And where did Trump do really well in? The white
The
males and the younger, right? And
correct.
so that's a big deal. So that's the podcast, and we talk about this as news sources and why podcasts are influential. So then you go to 60 Minutes, right? And we
Hmm.
talk. You even had that slide in 60 Minutes, right, with Kamala Harris.
Right.
Well, so we just said 40 million, 80% male, and 80, let's see, 95% between 18 and 54. All
Correct.
right. And so you go to 60 Minutes, the median age is 65, with 55% over 55 and older, and 10 to 12 million. All
Yes.
right. So you got Trump on Joe Rogan podcast, 40 million people, 90% or whatever I said, under 54. 60 Minutes, 10 to 12 million viewers, over 55.
Right.
So they're seeing two different worlds.
Very
And
much
people,
so. They're living two
there's
different worlds.
yes, and it's super interesting to understand. It's like, especially when we talk about politics and we talk about any of this other stuff, it's like, where are you? How do you change your campaign?
Hmm.
Because these are who are you going to get to? Right? It becomes very apparent. And Kamala should have gone on Joe Rogan.
Yes,
Right?
she should have.
Hillary should have gone on Howard Stern,
Right.
and she was afraid because but she didn't know that Stern would actually liked her. And so, missing those opportunities, it's like, again, it goes back to reliable news sources. It goes back to the new media. It goes back to why we do these classes on podcasts. It goes back to why we do all these classes in reliable news sources. All the things that we just talked about. Hopefully we stay informed because we're looking across a lot of different things. But the reality, it's super hard to consume all this information.
It's really hard. When I was watching the Rogan interview, I watched it both with JD Vance and Donald Trump. And it was what, 2 hours and 3 hours. It's like, man, it was really hard to spend that much time. In fact, I didn't just focus on. I had other things to do.
Yeah.
So, I would put it on the background and I would multitask, right? Um, so it wasn't something that I could pay full attention to. But at least I got to see how those people behaved in a long-term format. It wasn't scripted. It wasn't controlled. It was, none of the pre-approved highly choreographed press things that we've been fed for 30, 40 years. So it was really interesting to see how people behaved off the cuff and when they were pushed on things, how they behaved. It was really interesting. Like I
Yeah,
really liked how Joe Rogan, just laid it out to Trump. Yeah, if I forget the WWE owner, I can't remember his name now.
yeah, I know who
But
you're talking about.
yeah, but
McMahon.
if he hadn't made the
The
phone call,
McMahon,
you
whose
wouldn't be on
wife
my
is now
show.
right. McMahon, whose wife is now Secretary of Education.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yes, that's where that's incredibly. That's who's in charge of the nation's Department of Education.
And what's her qualifications? I don't know.
Supported Trump, I guess. I don't know,
I have no idea. I'd have to go look.
but she Linda. I think it's Linda McMahon. I think it is. Her name
Okay.
is. But yeah, she's the owner. The wife. I think. Vince McMahon. I think it is.
Well, it's really funny though. So my mom's a retired teacher and principal, and so a lot of her friends, are from that same ilk. And it's really funny how over the past 20 years, they've grown to be anti-NEA and anti-Department of Education. It's really
Yeah.
odd.
Well, really, the Department of Education isn't there to dictate standards. It's there to distribute money.
Right. But
And
they were distributing money with strings attached, which is,
that's.
it's weird.
I told my brother everybody's corrupt. All right. There's always
But you know what?
influence
But
somewhere. And again,
the
that's just
one
an
thing's true,
opinion. I don't have any
absolute
proof of
power
that.
corrupts absolutely, Eric.
Yes, I know. I
It's
know.
absolutely, it's so true. And
All right. The
wherever
last
there's
thing I want to
money, there's power.
Yeah, the last thing I want to talk about before we get into our other stuff. I know this is kind of unusual for us to talk about this stuff, but Prop 50, what's your thought of that?
Um, I'm gonna see how really, for one, I liked how it was before Prop 50, where we had a third party that would prevent some of the gerrymandering that both sides have been trying to do forever or taking advantage of forever. But the result of this current one, if you go and look at how the new districts are going to be aligned, they basically made the people that want to be the state of Jefferson, which is extremely conservative,
Yeah.
all blue.
Yep.
That's now get this too. That's where the water sources are here in California. And now
Yeah.
you're just saying we're forcing a political position on these people that they don't want. I think this is going to really cause problems.
Well, I like the fact of having I wish there was no gerrymandering at all.
I
I mean,
hate gerrymandering
I
across the
wish there
board.
was, but I'm trying to figure out what the right metaphor is. It's like, and the thing I keep coming across, okay, just say you're at a poker game.
Hmm.
Right? You're at a table. You have to be at this poker game for some ungod knows unknown reason, right? You're
Right.
at this poker game and you're playing fair and square, but everybody else has pocket aces.
Yep.
What do you do?
Yeah,
And two wrongs don't make a right, right? But what do you do for survival?
correct. You have to survive the table.
And so and it's not really a great metaphor, but that's the only thing I could think of. It's like, it's or if I go back to soccer game, right? And it's like, okay, you're playing it the right way. You have no guest players. You're playing with the roster that you have yet, and this happens all the time. You play in soccer, you go by colors, right? There's copper, bronze, silver, gold, premier, MPL,
Right.
MLS, whatever, right? So, and this happens all the time, and it's like, okay, you go into your roster, you have a bronze team, and it's your roster, and you're playing it right. Yet every team you play against brings down, 10 guest players from higher level teams,
Right.
and you're getting blown out every game 10-0 or zero
Right.
10. What do you do? You bring in a couple of stud defenders that are from a higher team at least to keep it competitive. You might have to I mean, just to kind of keep people's spirits up.
Right.
I don't know. I wish they would get rid of gerrymandering. I understand why they did what they did. I voted yes for Prop 50. I can say it because the election's over. I mean, I didn't feel great about it,
Right.
but it's like, what else are you gonna do?
Right. It was odd when I went and dropped off my ballot though, because I didn't mail it in time, right? I was out of the state. Um, it was interesting, all the young people that were in line to vote. I was really, really encouraged by it. It also told me it gave me an idea that, well, this is like, if I just did an exit poll right here, I know how these people are voting, right? But it was really encouraging to me to see such a turnout of young people. And it was so funny too, because there were a lot of, trans people. There were a lot of, I mean, there were some people that were dressed up like furries, they were in line to go vote. It cracked me up. But
Well, I
hey,
love, yeah.
I just was, but the fact that they showed up to vote, I was really happy.
I think again, we haven't talked in a long time, but like the Portland, they're gonna bring in the National Guard into Portland.
Right.
I love Portland's response. Let's dress up in a bunch of blow up costumes and just kind of goof on everybody.
Right.
It's like, you know, there's your terrorists or there's your Hellraisers, and they're all in a bunch of blow up costumes. I just think it's so Portland. It's so, I mean, we had an office in Oregon, at Intel. Um, and Oregon's pretty unique in its personality, but
But Portland is very unique. I mean, Portland and Austin were always proud of being weird.
well, I think it's a great response. It's like, I mean, instead of getting like angry and throwing things at people or whatever, just goof on them. Just
Right.
totally goof on them. And look at how silly this whole thing. Oh well, Trump. There's fires in Portland. There's no more stores in Portland. It's horrible. And they show videos of a bunch of guys dancing in blow up costumes. I mean, it's just such an epic response.
Yes.
Uh, all right, enough of that. Anything else you want to cover about the topics that we haven't talked to each other in a long time?
No, that's great. Thanks.
All right, so let's change subjects to why people really come to listen to us. They don't really come to listen about that stuff, but we talked about it anyways. You and I both did a class on giving money, and so let's stop for a second. Let's frame
Yes.
this, put this in a little bit of context. So it's November 11th. Black Friday specials are starting to come out. Cyber Monday's coming out. Holidays are coming around. Um, our group of people that we talk to, of course, are seniors, and we have grandkids and nephews, nieces, whatever that might be younger or whatever the case may be. And sometimes, especially if you don't get a chance to shop, um, and when you and you don't shop, there's not actually when you do shop, there's not that much stuff in the store anyways, or they might be from far away. We talked about affordability. People, if you're very fortunate to have family here in the Bay Area or wherever they live, yeah, you might be seeing them in person, but there's a lot of people you don't see in person.
Right.
And so what do? You give them a gift card, you write them a check, you send them money, whatever you do. And so our class was really about how to send money gifts to friends and family.
Right. And do it safely, because there are so many holes in the system now, because scammers have jumped into every place they can.
Yes. So let's talk about. So again, I did a couple different things. I added a few slides on it, but I gleaned off of what you did, right? Which was about checks. So let's talk about checks first.
Correct.
Checks used to be the way to give money. We'd write a check,
Put it in a
stick
card.
in the mail,
Yep.
right, and be happy that they received it. It's funny, my kids don't even know how to write a check. Right? It's like,
I
Dad, how to
know.
write a
And
check?
you know what, Eric? I think I've written two checks this year. It's really bad.
Uh, I do write checks because I take care of the books for us, right? And
Right.
we're still a cash
Right.
basis,
On
and
business side, I used to write a lot of checks, but that's the only time I
yeah.
do.
And so the only time I ever write checks is like seemingly taxes, which I don't do as much anymore. I mean, I pay it online more now.
Yeah, I do.
But there's still some things you want to write a check for. But let's talk about why we don't want to send checks.
Well, my biggest thing is that, right now, people, especially during the holidays, they literally go through our mail and they
Yep.
look for holiday cards, and they will
Yep.
open them and go through it, hoping to find a check. And if they have a check, it's not just the money. I mean, because they can't really cash it per se, but there's so much information you can glean from a checking account that really makes it so that they can either scam somebody or give it to other people that are, trying to do this as, en masse. And it's really dangerous. It really
Well,
exposes us
let's
to a
think.
lot
Let's
of
think.
corruption or
So let's think about
laundering.
what's on a check. Got
Okay.
your name,
Yeah.
got
Your
your
address,
address, got your
often a
bank
phone
routing
number.
number, what bank it is.
Yep.
Yeah, your phone number,
So
your
routing number for the bank.
routing number, and your account number.
Correct.
And people don't really realize. You used to. You and I are the bridge age, right? And we used to write lots of checks when we were younger or whatever.
Right.
People, and you probably ordered checks, right? You used to go to
Oh
that
no,
mail
I
order.
used to go to stores and write checks all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, but you would. But remember, we used to order them online or
Oh yeah.
whatever and get a book of checks.
Right.
The reality is, if you had a regular piece of paper and you hand wrote all that information with the bank routing number and your account number, the bank would take it.
Yes.
It didn't have to be on one of those fancy checks.
No.
Okay,
Well,
so
it
now,
actually it kind of the automatic processing stuff. Yeah, but you're right.
yeah,
You could.
but back in the day, right? And
Right.
so now, they've gotten a little more sophisticated. So if somebody steals your check, they could put it in, what do they say, antifreeze or a nail polish remover or whatever. And it
Correct.
kind of scrapes off the ink, but you still have all the information, and you can scan it and reprint those checks.
Right.
And so the danger of losing a check is, or having a check stolen, is pretty important. I mean, it's pretty drastic. I
Yeah,
mean,
because the tools, the stuff that people have for scamming now, and to forge, forgeries, um, is amazing. And once they get it into the digital realm, it's no holds barred.
well, I mean, I don't know about you, but I mean, I get a lot of checks and stuff. I use the app to scan the checks. I don't
I
go in the
I, I don't I just take a picture and send it. Yeah.
right. So think about this. I mean, it only takes one or two checks to get away with it, you know. And I don't know what the bank rules are for the amount of money that they kind of flag automatically and put a hold on it. But it's pretty important that we don't lose checks, I think,
Correct.
is the bottom line. And so I think some of our guidance is, don't send a check
Do
for
not.
personal stuff, right? Don't send a
No.
check if you can avoid it. And so, so now we're, at home. We want to give our grandkids some money. What are the options? Well, according to the banks, they want you to Zelle them,
And we don't do Zelle. We
and
don't,
we don't.
and as a new Vista, we don't recommend Zelle.
Yeah, and so and if any banks are thinking about granting us money after this, you probably won't want to. But um, Zelle, the problem with Zelle is it does work. I mean, honestly, it works. I mean, it's
No,
instantaneous. It
it's not.
works.
When it works, it's fine. The problem with
Yes.
Zelle is when there's a problem.
Yes. When there is a problem. And we experience this ourselves. But when we say there's a problem, is that the banks won't guarantee the money transferred in case of fraud, or even if you make a mistake.
Correct.
And so I'll tell you the story that, we were at a large bank. My son was a college student. He was home for the holidays. He had, I mean, $1,000 to a college student is a lot of money,
Heck
right? I mean,
yeah.
$1,000 to a college student is a lot of money. And he was at home in bed at 2 in the morning, and we tracked all this down. And somebody from Georgia actually did what I just said. They wrote kind of a check, deposited it, and withdrew the money. And we got copies of all that stuff. And then some kind of authorization through Zelle happened or whatever that they blamed on my son. And they basically took off with $1,000. And we're like, well, look, they put on this deposit slip. It's obviously fake. It's in Georgia.
Right.
He was home in the Bay Area. And they said, well, not our fault.
Right.
And this was all related to Zelle too, because
Yes.
they said like deposit and pulled it out via Zelle or something like that.
Correct.
And we escalated for basically a year and a half. And, And it went up to the executive's office and everything else. And they're like, well, I'm sorry, we can't do anything for you. We really appreciate your business, but we can't help you.
Correct. Whereas
And
if that was PayPal or Venmo, it would have been 48 hours and you would have had your money back.
it was a credit card, you would have gotten your money back.
Correct.
And so I think, I mean, not only was it a personal issue, but there's been hearings on Capitol Hill. There's been testimonies from the banking industry who created Zelle, and they all got
Yeah, the
pressed on
seven
whether
largest banks
yeah,
created
they would
Zelle.
got pressed on whether or not they would support fraud,
Right.
and they were
And
silent on it. And so, unfortunately, there's been a brainwashing and a marketing awareness um, that Zelle's the way to go. And I don't know if the banks make money off it because it's being used. They probably save expense for its use.
well, it's since the banks invented it, it's very wired into the ACH, the
Yeah,
automated clearinghouse. Uh, but because it's so wired in, all the fraud checks and stuff don't exist. Yeah, so it's like it's they put all the risk on us as a consumer, and then they just kind of wash their hands of it, which is ridiculous.
yeah, yeah. It's funny because it's my last gig at Intel was intra data security. And we always talked about, everybody always worried about the stuff coming in and out, but
Right.
nobody worried about the stuff in between.
Correct.
Right. And so that's kind of what's happening here. It's just things are happening between the banks, but there's no fraud checks or fraud prevention checks.
Correct.
And to understand that, hey, you know what? So and so, you sent me a request for Zelle money, I paid it, or and oops, I got scammed and there's no help there. Or I sent it to you, for example, I put in the wrong digit of your phone number.
Right. And it went to somebody else.
Yeah, it's like, oh well, you're out of luck.
Right.
And again, they've made it to be super easy to make it happen, make the money transfers happen, but there's
But there's
no
no
check.
safety nets, and that's the
Yeah.
problem.
So, we can't shout this loud enough. And people actually, when they come to our classes, they're like shocked that we say we don't like Zelle.
Right.
And it's really because we want our money to be protected.
Well, not just protect. I mean, a bank doesn't, they don't open up their interbank transfers to all of this stuff without, verifying a lot of things in between. But yet, when they make it for the consumer, all those verifications are gone.
Yeah.
That's just crazy. So I don't understand, you know, why they did it this way, um,
And why don't
and
they
why
fix
they're
it?
what what's that?
And why don't they don't fix it?
I don't either. There and look at when you look at it by law, there's no need for them legally to do so.
No.
So yeah, the law just hasn't caught up with the technology yet in that regard.
I had that conversation. That's a different subject. We could go on different tangents all night long. So let's talk
But you
about
know what I
Venmo.
like though, if we look at the more commercial solution, like Venmo and PayPal, and I always mention them together because now PayPal owns Venmo.
Yep.
But if somebody's 35 or under, they use Venmo. I mean, so if you want to send something to grandkids, do Venmo. I mean, they're going to be using Venmo.
Yep.
Um, and PayPal, people 40 and over are very familiar with PayPal. Uh, but I really like how when things go wrong with Venmo and PayPal, it's literally 24, 48 hours and I get my money back.
Yeah.
It is amazing how they step in and fix things. And they do keep score. So they find out the people that are behaving badly and they ban them. Or at least they abandon
Yeah.
that account.
So let's walk through Venmo first. Let's walk through Venmo. So Venmo, it's basically a phone app, right?
Right.
It's an app that you have to download to your phone or iPod, or I'm sorry, iPad or
iPad.
tablet.
Yep.
And
Anything that
you
can get to the
install it,
internet.
right? You install it, you connect a credit card, and if you want to receive money, you need a bank account attached to it,
Correct.
or you just leave the money into your balance, which is okay as
Correct.
well. And if somebody, you can ask for somebody to send you money, you have a handle or a phone number. You send it to that phone number or that handle. And one of the safety checks, if you send it to like somebody's handle, which the handle is, the username basically,
Correct.
you send it to that username. If you've never sent that person before, if you're not a friend, social friend with them on the app, which we should talk about as well, it then at least verifies or asks you to verify the phone number, the last four digits of the phone number that you're
That's
sending
correct.
to.
For the very
And
first time only.
yeah, and I think
Yeah.
that's great. I mean, at least, and as parents, we contribute to a lot of, you know, school funds or fundraisers or whatever else may
All the
happen.
time.
And it's like, you guys got to give us your phone number so we know who we're sending it to. At least the last four digits of your phone numbers, because it's going to happen. But at least there's a little bit of a security check there to make sure that you're sending it to the right person.
Correct.
All right. So the second part of that, the safety checks of Venmo is if you do make mistakes, say you bypass the last four digits and you send it to somebody and what you found it was to the wrong person,
Hmm.
you can contact Venmo like within 48 hours and say, hey, I screwed up.
Yes.
Right. And then they'll work you through the process. And as long as,
Yes.
you just got to realize that you sent it to the wrong person. So that's why we say it's like, okay, if you make a mistake, because we all make mistakes, we
Right.
all make it, and we always mistype or whatever the case may be. At least there's a way to get your money back. At the same time, what we're telling people also is that one of the scams is that somebody out of the blue sends you money. So
Hmm.
out of the blue, Vado, I send you $2,000
On Venmo. Right.
on Venmo, and I say, "Hey, I sent this. I mistakenly sent this. Send it back to me."
And I think, oh yeah, sure. Because
Yeah,
I may not now most likely I don't know you, but this showed
right,
up and I didn't expect it.
right. What we're telling people is don't do that.
Do not let Venmo figure it out.
Right. Just because of what we just said, right? Just because um you can pull it back and you can ask to dispute the charge.
Correct.
I mean, if you want to wait a week, make sure the funds are there. Yeah, you can do that because,
Right.
or you can just raise it up to Venmo and they'll take care of it. But that's what we're talking about is having recourse in case of something happens. I mean, money is hard we work hard for our money. We have our life savings or whatever the case may be. Um, we need to make sure we take these precautions, and so the kind of reviews, like if we're using Venmo, make sure you know who you're sending it to. If you're sending it to your friends or family, make sure that you can, the social aspect is you can make friends
Hmm.
with each other on the app. And then you verified that friend. If you're sending money for the first time, make sure you have the last four digits of the phone number that you're sending it to. And look out for scams. And one of the biggest ones is that people will send you money and then ask for it back. And we just say, contact Venmo, let them deal with it.
Correct. But the other thing
Or
I want to talk about on Venmo
or
is
wait, and then transfer it to your bank, and then you can say, "Hey, I never received it." Me,
correct.
your fault. Sorry, you tried to scam me.
One thing about Venmo though is Venmo, and the reason why the younger crowd typically likes it is because of all the social cues that come along with it. It if unless you change the settings, it will tell, either your friends or your public, or the public that you made this transaction, right?
Yep.
And it'll even say what it was for. So any comments you made or what you said it was for will show up. And it's really the reason why younger people like that, because like let's say they were splitting an Uber ride or they split a tab on a pizza or something like that. Their friends can see, oh look, these guys were hanging out, and oh look how they behaved so nicely, blah blah blah. They split the tab, that kind of stuff. You know, that was kind of built into it. But
Yeah.
for me as an older person, and for people, I want to support my kids and now grandkids. Um, I don't want all those social cues going out about that. So I literally turn them off. I mean, you can go into the
I
settings
want to see where my college age unemployed kids are spending my money.
and you can look it up.
Why'd you give
Yeah,
that
because
guy
they leave it
$5? I
on.
don't like that person.
They leave it on, but we don't have to. So,
Right.
it's nice that we can keep our privacy, but and our kids because they leave all that stuff open and we can see how
Yeah.
it goes. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about PayPal.
All right.
Same kind of deal though, right? They have a buyer guarantee. They were the first payment app. They were actually the very first payment app because they were part of eBay.
Correct.
and they needed a way to have transactions across basically virtual garage sales.
Well, take a look at the history of PayPal because uh, they walked into the finance industry and basically ignored all the rules. They just said, no, it doesn't make sense that we have to follow all of these rules just to transfer money between people. It just doesn't make sense. And the very first part of the app was coded by Elon and like three other people. Um, but I give Elon credit for like the gist of the very first one. Yeah, it amazes me that they came up with something that worked pretty well peer to peer, right?
Yep.
And they kind of told the banking industry, "Well, come sue us,"
Yeah.
And eventually, they had so much momentum, and then eBay bought them. And once
Yep.
eBay bought them, they had a big partner behind them. That, now there was a $1 billion partner. Now
Well,
the banks
that's a
couldn't ignore
perfect
it.
use case, though.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, virtual garage sales. It's like, how are you going
Oh,
to give them the money?
perfect. Right. And
It,
they
it,
blended together so well.
yeah, no, it was great. It was perfect. It was like great timing, great application of ideals or ideas.
Right.
Um, yeah, and now look where it is now.
And it was if we look at it, it was the stalwart of how to do this. I mean, it really provided the example that, hey, look, we can come up with commercial solutions to things that have always been controlled by regulation. And that's one of the reasons they're so good at fixing problems for people. And they literally put that in their budget. Uh, they make the money on the float, right? That's how
Yep.
they make their money, which can
Yep.
be a lot of money considering the amount of transactions they do. Also, if we want an instant transfer from our PayPal account to our bank account, we pay what, like a 1.7% charge? I can't remember. Maybe it's
Yeah,
higher
it's
now,
something small.
but it's small, but those things add up. And they literally
It's kind of
budget
one of those
those.
situations where it's a win-win.
Yeah,
You're getting money, you pay a
fast.
little money, get it faster.
Yep.
It's reasonable.
Right. And yet they know that there's some certain risk they're taking by enabling that. So
Yep.
to me, it makes sense. It's like, okay, I'm basically paying an insurance charge.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to me.
But again, the reason why we like PayPal is because there's a buyer, and this started, I think, with the eBay stuff. There's a
Yes.
buyer guarantee. If you send your money to some unknown person that you're buying a used product from
Yep.
and you're not happy with it, and the seller, who's an individual, not a company, says, I'm not giving you your money back,
Right.
right? It's like, okay, well, PayPal's going to give you a buyer guarantee, and that's kind of carried throughout the whole life of their product.
Yes.
And it's one of the reasons why we like PayPal. It doesn't expose like anything like Venmo, right? It doesn't expose any of your original account information, your credit card, your bank information.
Then
And B, both of them provide some kind of dispute or guarantee.
correct. And one of the things too I like is that if I ever do a digital subscription, Uh, one of the things I don't like about digital subscriptions, I don't care if it's a magazine or if it's an app that I want to use. Remember when I was doing the AI stuff and I wanted to just quickly subscribe to
Yeah.
some AI art and things like that? It was so difficult to cancel those subscriptions. But because I did those subscriptions on PayPal, I
Yep.
just went to PayPal and said, disable.
Yeah.
And then now those monthly charges don't happen.
Yep.
And
Well,
it,
this is
go
there's
ahead.
a lot of benefits. Yeah. Good. Keep going. Keep going.
No, because it's they make it so it's very difficult to back out, very difficult to cancel something. But I go to my PayPal account, say disable this one now, and they can't take the money out monthly. It works great.
Yeah. So it's like another use case, but similar. I use PayPal for all those kind of work things or whatever. Not only do I love the 6 months no interest because
Hmm.
anytime anybody wants to give me no more free money, I'll take it. But I would have put like my business card up there for a bunch of things, right? And I'd change banks.
Right.
Well, even if I don't have that account, they'll charge my PayPal credit card or whatever it is until I put in another one. and I'm still just paying PayPal. I got to pay PayPal anyways for whatever balance I would carry on my PayPal credit. But I could change banks and not get these mysterious charges at a on a credit card that I don't have anymore,
Correct,
right?
because you
Or
have this
whatever.
buffer in between.
Right. The other thing I'm going to feel like a commercial for PayPal, but the other thing about uh, PayPal is like when you buy something with PayPal online,
Yes,
it knows your shipping address,
correct.
which is super helpful. You don't have
Oh
to
no,
worry about
when
making
I'm
typo.
doing the checkout, it makes it so simple. And
Yeah.
because I use the authentication code and all that type of stuff that with PayPal, I literally either put my fingerprint on my computer or my Face ID
Yep.
on my phone, and it just goes, okay, here's your password. Here's your username. Here's your password. Here's the authentication code. Oh, verify this address. Boom, done.
Yep.
It's that simple
It is. It's makes things faster, and it's again
and accurate.
shopping online and shopping in the holidays. Tell everybody use PayPal if you have a PayPal account.
Yep, I really like
So
it.
the banks don't like us anymore because we don't like Zelle, but maybe we should go get a grant from PayPal and Venmo. All
I had
right,
a
I got one
roommate that
more.
once that worked at PayPal. Yeah, I should see what he's doing there now.
Exactly. One more question about all this. So PayPal require and Venmo require a credit card or a bank account. What's your stance on putting your bank account there?
Um, I put my bank account there because I want to be able to transfer, back to my bank account.
Yeah.
And they have been really good about not having leaks, and be keeping it encrypted and all that. They do follow some very strict guidelines on how to protect that. They have not ever been hacked to the point where they release stuff unencrypted. Okay,
Yeah.
they have been hacked, but it was always encrypted and nothing really leaked because of that. So I trust PayPal in that regard, and I send things back to my bank, but I still don't use my debit card with PayPal.
Well, yeah, let's keep this up, right? So I have several bank accounts. Right? We
Same
have the
here,
business bank account, we have my
right?
personal, we have a family bank account, whatever. My suggestion is don't put your bank account that has like I would never put my Schwab account
No way.
on, right?
No,
I
my
would
ma-
never put
my
anything else.
my cash management account does not go to
Yeah,
PayPal.
exactly. So, but and if you're really concerned about, and say you do have a significant amount of money to check in your savings account, that's you don't want to really put your savings account in there. But say you had significant amount of money in your checking account, it doesn't take much to ask the bank to open up another account.
Not at all.
And you can just have that as like a disposable account or a disposable income account. Keep a couple
That's
$1,000 or
how
a
I
couple
use my
hundred
credit
dollars in it.
union. Right.
Yeah. And then you just attach that account to it. And if you bank online, you can see all of them, but Venmo or PayPal will only have access to that one account.
Correct.
And so, I think it's a reasonable solution if people are willing to do that or a little worried about having their main bank account put onto it. But there's a lot of advantages of having your bank account attached or having a bank account attached to PayPal or Venmo.
Yes. And at my credit union, I can open up another account for free. So,
Yeah.
it costs me anything.
Yeah. Well, most banks, if you have combined
Right.
assets, won't charge you for another one. Right.
Correct.
And, and I think most of them would be happy. At least most of the good banks will be happy to do that for you. Just if you tell them what it's used for, and they can create a special account for you.
Yep.
And so I wouldn't. Again, if I had $100,000 in a checking account, I don't think I'd put that onto my
I
my
would not
Venmo
attach that
or
to
PayPal
right.
account. But
Now,
if
if
you
I
have a
was a
few hundred
billionaire,
dollars,
yeah, maybe, but
yeah. If you're a billionaire, you wouldn't be doing this with me right now.
right.
All right. So let's talk about last thing we talked about at the holiday sales. Let's review. We don't like Zelle. We don't like checks.
uh,
Um,
I
Venmo to
want to
give
mention one
money
other
to
thing is
yeah,
gift
Venmo to
cards.
give people money because most of the kids are on it, and PayPal online, and you can also give money pay people through PayPal as well. Let's talk about real quick debit cards versus credit cards.
Okay.
And there's EFTA, and then there's the other federal law
Like
for
FCBA or something. I
credit
can't remember what it
cards.
is, but
Yeah.
yeah.
And so we will always, let's just pause for a second. Credit card interest fees are exorbitant. It's like it's almost, I feel like it's loan sharking.
It is, but you shouldn't keep a balance.
Right. So, I mean, 22%, some I've seen 32%, right? Which
Right.
is like crazy to me. Um, but if you ever get defrauded because it's just 16 number, it's a combination of numbers, 16 numbers, typically 3-digit CVV and month and year, right? Expiration date. It's just a math problem. But I am so impressed with credit cards, it's legitimate credit cards. Um, their ability to catch fraud and to rectify fraud.
Yes.
And maybe that's why we're paying 20, people are paying 22%, right? To help offset some of those costs.
Well, again, it is an insurance fee, right?
It is.
Yeah. And
But
I had this happen what last Christmas. I was running sound at church, and all of a sudden I get this alert that my Apple credit card just had a transaction for $2,300 at Legoland. And I'm like, well, I'm not at Legoland. And I'm
well, at
like,
least they went, Legos are expensive though. I will tell
right.
you
So
that.
I immediately shut down my card, because that's really easy to do. I don't have to talk to anybody. You can just do it right in the app. And then after church, I went and called Apple, and two other charges had come right behind it.
Yeah.
Um, so then I was like, these are not legitimate. And so they said, okay, yeah, we caught this one, we caught this one. But the first one did go through, and it took like a month. Okay.
Yep.
But I never had to pay a dime on it.
Yeah. And,
It was
I had a
really,
similar, I can't remember I think it was probably my Capital One card. I don't know. I don't use a lot of credit cards. It's only, I try to consolidate them all into one or two. But we had some, Shane, that company, SHEIN. It's a fashion, it's
oh
kind
yeah,
of
Shine
inexpensive
or Shane. I
Shine,
don't know how to
right?
say it. Yeah.
I don't know how to say it either, but I looked at my credit card and there was literally like 15 transactions. I'm like, and I have kids, right? And
All right.
I'm like, hey, did anybody shop here? Right. And I called him and I talked to him and they literally went all the way 3 months back because I'm stupid. I didn't look at all my statements. And they went and they gave me all the money back for them all. And it was like
Wow.
15 or 20 transactions.
Holy smokes. And they're small transactions.
I mean, what's small?
Well,
$20,
Shine would make,
$40,
I was going to say less
forty
than a hundred
dollars.
bucks, right?
Yeah, they were all less than $100.
Right.
But they give me all my money back. So I mean, it's again, we tell people to use their credit cards because they're really good at getting your money back.
Yes.
And
And
then
their
versus,
AI is really good at detecting changes in pattern.
yeah, it's I mean, we're watched all the time, right? Where was I? Where'd we go? Seattle. Let's visit my daughter. I used the credit card, but they also knew. I think they knew that. I think I probably put our flights on that same credit card, so
Right.
they kind of knew where I was going,
Right.
or they knew I was renting a car there, or they knew I was getting a hotel there, or whatever the case may be. So they kind of knew where I was going to be. So they're pretty good at. I mean, yeah, sure, privacy, whatever, but at least they knew where I was at. So if they knew that if they didn't have flight tickets or a place to stay or a rental car or whatever, and I started getting charges out of, I don't know,
Switzerland or
Hawaii,
whatever, right?
right? They would have refused it and
Right.
asked me to verify whether it was a real charge or not, which has gotten really good about that too.
Yeah, and when I used to do a lot of international travel, I used to literally call my credit card companies, tell them, "Hey, I'm going to be, in Europe or whatever, or in Asia," and they're like, "Oh, thanks for telling us," and they wouldn't do it. But you know what I've noticed now is since I do most of my payments through my phone, they don't shut it off, and you know, I don't get defrauded as much because every transaction is a unique code rather than my credit card,
Yeah.
and it just goes through and it works out great.
Yeah, that's true because I do get caught. The times that they ask me to verify the purchase is when I've had to run my credit card,
Yes, not your
right?
phone.
Not my phone.
Yep.
So another advantage of using Apple Pay, Google Pay.
Yes, and I really like both those platforms.
All right, last little bit about this is a long podcast. I think we're going an hour and a half on this one. Um, Debit cards. We don't like anybody using debit cards unless they're pulling money from the ATM.
That's correct. I do have my debit card on my Apple Wallet, but it's extremely rare that I use it.
I use it all the time
What, your debit card?
on my phone.
Yeah, I use mostly my credit card, so I don't, because I
Yeah.
don't get any points or anything with my debit card. So,
No, I don't either. But there's, things like food or like pastries or coffee or whatever. I just use my,
right.
because here's the irritating thing. Nobody takes cash.
No, I don't
It's like,
want cash.
can I give you cash? No.
No.
We don't want to be robbed. Okay, I
Right,
get it. Right. It's fine. Right. The only people that seem to take cash anymore are fast food restaurants.
right,
I mean, honestly, but I do use my. I mean, but again, it's kind of that same situation. It's not like my Schwab account is hooked up to my Apple Pay or my
right.
Google Pay. It's just one of my accounts that's attached to it that doesn't have an incredibly a ton of money on it. Um, so I mean, money's relative, right? Amount of money is relative, but I do use my. I won't use my debit card as a card
I will
anywhere,
never use it as a card.
right? I won't slide it. I won't put it into the gas station. I won't slide it at Target, right? Or
Right.
whatever. But I will put it on tap to pay because at least I have a record for it. And do you know if there's a dispute process with Apple Pay or Google Pay?
Yeah, there is, but I've never had to use it, so
I've
I
never
don't
had to
know.
use it either. I think there is one, but I've
There
never had
is.
to use it. Um, but yeah, I do. It's because same thing that we talked about PayPal. There's an intermediary in between your
Hmm.
account information and the point of sale machine where your actual information isn't being transmitted to the point of sale machine.
Yes.
Right? It's just some other token or fake number. You ever use your Google Pay or Apple Pay on your computer, right?
Yeah,
And I
all the
don't know
time.
if and you ever see that it tries to save, it asks you to save your credit card information.
Well, I put it in my wallet. It's my wallet goes across my, through the cloud to all my devices.
So I think this is what's different, right? With Google Pay and Apple Pay. In Google Pay, when I use my computer, it Google Pay will generate a different number
Hmm.
and it'll always ask me to save that credit card.
Oh,
But
that's odd. Okay.
but it's the same root card, but it's a different number because Google Pay is giving a different number and security code and everything else.
You know what?
I always have to say
I think I
no.
might be wrong because I think it does not do it through the cloud. It's on each device. You're right.
Yeah. And
Okay.
so
Each
it
device has
asked me
its
if I
own wallet.
yeah. So it asked me if I want to save it, but I always say no because it's giving a different number, even though it's the
Right.
same physical credit card numbers because they're generating a different number. So
Well, before
again,
we
that's why we like using Google Pay, Apple Pay, that stuff. What are you gonna say?
Yeah. Before we end, there's one thing I do want to touch on, and that's gift cards.
Yes.
And I do not recommend buying gift cards and like, physical gift cards in the grocery store,
No.
Target, those things like that. There's so many scams out there where people go and literally put theirs in there instead, and as soon as you put money on it, it's get activated and it gets transferred to the scammer.
Yep.
So I don't recommend that at all. If you go online and purchase it directly from the seller, like I want to create, let's say, an Amazon gift card, right? I can just go onto Amazon. I can buy a gift card from Amazon and have them ship it directly to the person. Those are safe.
Love or hate Amazon, they've changed the rules of the game.
Yes.
And to be able to instantly give a Amazon gift card
Hmm.
um, is probably one of the safer things you can do.
It is, and yeah, and it instantly shows up, and they can use it, and all they need is the number.
Yeah, and it's like these guys are dominating the retail world.
Yes.
But there's some benefits to it. I mean, I'd much rather have an Amazon gift card than a prepaid Visa card.
Here, here.
What kills me about prepaid Visa cards is like, you have $3.57 left, and what are you going to use it on?
Right.
It's just money to the Visa card or whoever it is. It's like, I probably have, the good thing about it is like you can go to a gas station and put it in, and it'll ring you up for whatever balance is left.
Right.
But that's probably I mean, of course, I have two electric cars or three electric cars, and it's like, okay, I don't, since we got the truck now, I have to go to the gas station. But I mean, what if you don't ever go to the gas station? How are you going to use that $3.57?
Yeah, then it gets complex. I want to put $3.57 on this card and the rest on the other one.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, you can't even go to McDonald's and say, "Hey, your bill's $7." Well, put $3.57 on this.
Right. They're like,
Put
what?
20 cents on this. Uh, I got $1.19 on this one. How much do I owe
Right.
you? Yeah, that
Uh,
just that kills me. That whole process, and it's like, and it's not. It's just the point of the fact that somebody's getting free money. You know,
yeah.
I don't like that
But you're
stuff.
right. Amazon makes it so easy.
Yeah, they make it too easy, which is crazy. Anyways, hey, I want to go back to one last thing we were talking about, and I forgot to talk about this. So that's the wrap on all the pay stuff. I want to talk about one kind of other thing. I mentioned Car Swisher and Scott Galloway
Right.
earlier today. And they did have a podcast called The Pivot, which I just love, right? Which I mean, I'm gonna have to like it in our platform here. Scott Galloway, if you don't know, is a university guy, or he was a professor at some place. Kind of came up through the ranks, but he talks a lot about um, the downfall of men, of young white males,
Hmm.
basically, or young men. And he tells a statistic that just kills me. And this is one of the bad sides of technology. Yet kind of a good side for the audience that we use. So he says this stat. He says 45% of men under, I think he said 25, and don't be I can't be exact. 45% of men under 25 or 30 or something like that have never asked a woman out in person.
What? They've
Yeah,
only done it
it's
through
crazy.
dating apps?
Yeah, or I mean, he says why would a young man get dressed up, shower, well, I always say shower and shave, right?
Right.
Get dressed up and risk the rejection of asking a woman out.
See, I've never looked at it that way.
Well, no, but they have other venues. They have, they can find friends on Reddit. They can find friends through dating apps. They can find friends in a virtual world. They can talk to AI chatbots to get the result that they want to get, right? And this is kind of I wish our young people we don't have young people don't have as many places to go, as many venues to go. When we used to, I don't know about you, but when I used to go to bars, we would dance, and there was groups of us that would dance and
Yeah,
go to
I would go
bars
with
and
a
things
group
like
of
that.
people usually. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
But
a lot of
now
fun.
you go, if you ever gone to a bar now and you look at young people, they're just sitting there,
What?
right? And we went to a bar in Seattle, and I went with my daughters. And there's just guys hanging out with guys, not talking to the girls.
Whoa.
And it was just really weird. But the point of the fact that the reason why I'm kind of bringing this up is because it's just a different world. We talked earlier in this conversation about different world between young people and seniors and older people, right? And their viewpoints and everything else. But here's the thing that technology can do. So as much as it's a detriment to young people to use technology and be their primary way of communicating, on the other side of the fact is that for seniors, we encourage use of it to increase socialization, because I
Correct.
think, right, we use it
Yeah,
from
because there's another way of connecting and staying in touch.
texting,
Right.
Facebook, Reddit. We don't really do many classes on Reddit, but Reddit, whatever the case may be. But I think the difference is that when our seniors are able to connect with each other digitally, they then make a point of getting together.
Yeah, because that's the natural thing to do. It's not a replacement for socialization, right? It's a
It's an
socializing.
adjunct,
Right.
right?
Yeah, and it's that thin veneer that makes it easier rather than being a replacement.
So I guess as a result of this, one of the things I'm gonna say is for a call of action for our seniors who listen to this or whatever, use our technology to reach out. So we talked about giving money to our friends and family, grandkids, whatever. But I think we make a point of and asking our seniors if you use the technology, communicate with your loved ones or friends and family, but also follow it up with, hey, let's get together.
Yes.
And even if they have, if they're distance, if they're far away, and I'll ask our young people this all the time. I'll ask our young people this. If they're far away, get on a Zoom and
Right.
at least have a conversation with the person who gave you money, right? Get on or go for a cup of coffee or go for lunch if you're local. But at least the fact is, I get on my kids all the time. It's like, hey, somebody gave you money. Did you thank them? Whatever, right? Did you write him a note? I mean, a handwritten note would be great, but you can get on a Zoom, give him a call, give him a text, right? Just go ahead and thank him for it. I'll ask both our young people to be thankful for the gifts that they get and reach out to them beyond just texting, at least a phone call, maybe a Zoom call. And for our seniors who are doing the gifts, to at least say, hey, let's get together, let's get on a call, let's talk, right? And just because I think that's the appropriate, personally, and this is where I'll give a really strong opinion, that's the use of technology in
Yes.
these for this stuff, right? Especially during the holidays, uh, you know, in the world that we work in, we see a lot of people passing, right? We
Hmm.
really do. I had a long time client of mine just pass last Saturday that I just found out about. Um, and I happen to know it's like when I work with people, I get to know the kids because I'm in communication with their kids as well. But they really want that our seniors really want to be able to have friends, see each other, socialize, use technology to reach out, make their lives a little more um, engaging, right? Because
Interconnected. Right.
yeah, and they're connected. And this person, she had a great group of friends, or she has a great group of friends, and they would get together. And I think that's going back to what we were talking about the young people and the lack of interpersonal engagement. Our seniors can teach our kids something. And so I guess
Absolutely.
the call of action here is,
And I
if you're
don't
going to give,
understand the whole issue with meeting, let's say the opposite sex. Uh, if, I had to train my son, right? Like, put your expectations and your wants and stuff, put that aside.
yeah,
Find out if the person's interesting, right?
yeah,
Are you going to have fun with this person? Can you have a real conversation with them? Find that stuff out first, right?
yeah,
And once you do that and you're genuinely interested because they're fun people, they're engaging people, it gets the rest just happens. You don't have to worry about it. I
yeah.
never understood that.
I'd
Why
encourage you to listen to some of the things that Scott Galloway has to say because it's an interesting perspective on things. The ascension of women, the women getting better jobs, getting more educated. I think it was 41% of women are college, or let's see, no, it says out of college graduating classes, 60% are women,
correct. Yeah,
right? And so women tend to marry up in social status and earning power,
correct.
and men typically marry down, and I don't mean down in terms of anything other than socioeconomics.
Right.
Um, and with the ascension of women, there's few and fewer men that can out earn them. You know what I
Right.
mean?
It's a
Um,
very different dynamic.
and so it's interesting that there's it's an interesting take. I mean, I don't know if I agree with everything he says, but it's an interesting set of statistics that happen. Um, but yeah, it's again, I encourage you to listen to Scott Galloway. He's on a book tour right now. So he's been on The View, he's been on 60 Minutes or Today's Show, he's been on Good Morning America.
Okay. So he's doing the book
He's on
tour.
that press tour. So
Okay.
it's really interesting. He says some of the same things, but it's pretty interesting and eye-opening about um some of the statistics he says. But again, back to our group of people, I think um our clientele, our customers, our community can teach our young people a few things, and I hope that the young people listen.
Yeah, I do too. Because there's a
All right,
lot of wisdom there.
so we proselytized a lot today.
We did.
You know,
I
again,
liked
this
how
was
this whole thing started because you and I started talking about a lot of these things. Are like, well, hold it. Let's just start the podcast and we'll
yeah,
talk about it
yeah,
there.
and again, it was a little different from what we typically talk about, and but there's been a lot of things happening,
A
and
lot.
so we might as well take the opportunity to talk a little bit about it. And again, we're not trying to sway one for people one way or the other than the use of technology, but there's a lot going on, so we have to
Yeah,
talk
and,
about it.
and like we started, talking about, like the Mom Donnie and Prop 50 and stuff like that. And there's all this, you know, fear and all this type of. I'm like, I'm just encouraged that the young generation showed up to vote. I mean,
I
that's incredible.
I have a lot of faith or hope in our young people.
Yes,
Um, but I also hope that they can learn from their elders, and look for the wisdom of lived experiences from our 75, 85, 90-year olds that have gone through. Because if you think about 90 years old right now, that they were
oh
born
yeah,
in 1930-ish, something
right,
like that. World War One, World War Two, Vietnam War, Korean War, Nixon, Carter, right?
right.
High interest rate, 14%
JFK. I mean, come on,
inflation
all that.
rates. I wish I had bonds from that time. And so, I mean, there's been a lot of lived experiences, a lot of interpersonal relationships, a lot of um, different experiences. I mean, people don't realize that until the late 70s, maybe early 80s, women can have a credit card over $300.
Correct.
Yeah, can own a car on their own without. It's like, where's your husband? It's like, okay. And then we talk about the ascension of women, but and all this other stuff, which is all good in our opinion. It's all good, but it's just changing realities.
And
But
I'm a huge Title IX fan, so
no, I mean, I love it. It's just, but you and I are fortunate, right? I mean, we're a little bit. I think it'd be hard. I think it's hard to be a young person now,
yeah, I agree.
and so
There's
I
so
want
many
them.
voices that can talk to him now.
Yeah, and we don't really. And I want, if again we're encouraging people to talk to their seniors or to their elders, and just glean some information off of them. And it's not always about technology. It's about just other stuff.
Life.
Yeah, it's perspective.
Hmm.
All right. All right. So that was a kind of a long one for us today. Again, we should thank our sponsors and grantors who make Anuvista Community Services possible. Again, providing all kinds of stuff and technology and information and content out there for our community. Peninsula Healthcare District, Dignity Health, Sequoia Healthcare District, Silicon Valley Community Foundation, El Camino Healthcare District, Forum Charitable Fund, Los Altos Mountain View Community Fund, Rotary Health Trust, Touchpoint, Comcast, Kiwanis. And of course, our facility partners, well, I'll have you remind us.
Yes, we have Escaton here in Sacramento, Escaton Village, Carmichael, V at Palo Alto, the city of Milpitas, the city of Burlingame, the Veterans Memorial Senior Center in Redwood City, Avenidas Village in Palo Alto, the Peninsula Family Services, Truesdale, the city of Los Altos, and the India Community Center.
All right. So let
Thanks,
me
Eric.
play
This
us
was this has
out.
been fun.
Yeah, it
Good
was
catching up, man.
we kind of meandered around a lot of different things, but it was good fun. Again, as a reminder, if you like the conversation, go ahead and follow us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify Podcasts. Also, visit us at www. A as in Apple, N as in Nancy, V as in Victor, C as in Charles, Charlie, S as in Sam.org, ANVCS.org. Sign up for a class or just go check out tech tips or find our podcast there or some other kind of information that you want to know about. We literally have a class or a tech tip on almost anything you could think about digital in your home. Okay. Follow us on Facebook also or Instagram because we have our stuff out there as well. We're all over the place. Pretty good for about three people running the whole show, huh?
Exactly.
You know. Um, They should do a case study on us. Anyways, let me play us out. All right. And it's been fun, Veda, and have a good night. We'll try to not make it a month and a half between our next podcast.
Exactly. Oh, no, let's get
And
back to the weekly.
yeah, so let me play us out. Here we go.
All right. See you,
All
Aaron.
right.
Cheers.
Thank you.